Hey everybody, Matt here with another deck spotlight. Today we have the Yamata combo list. A lot of people have been asking me to do a video proper on this. You know, at the start of the format, Chris and I worked on a video or on a list, and since then a lot of people, we've gone through a couple changes, we've made a few edits, and really the whole heart of this deck is, thanks to Gwyn and thanks to Forty Thieves, you can almost, more often than not, you're getting a turn 3 Yamata. And if you're lucky, then you'll also have some necromancies of the undead lord to put on it, which gives him plus 200 turns into a zombie. The thing I really like about this version, so there's two versions floating around. There's this one, which is the zombie Yamata combo. And then shout out to Royce, who made the pure combo edition. The thing I like this one a little bit more is because it can run a zombie package. I was running some Arthurs out of the sideboard, so you can really just transition into a mid-range deck. So if you're going against like Alice control or a Vlad control deck, sometimes going the combo route is just not going to be the right answer. So you want to go for the more grindy, mid-rangey type of deck with Arthurs. That way they keep coming back. Necromancies of the Undead Lord keep coming back, so you have to grind out your opponent that way. And really MVP is just sometimes you want to do a turn 2 Nyarlathotep that has, one or two Necromancies of the Undead Lord coming out of it. So turn 2, you take their answer to your Yamata, and you have a 1,000 body on turn 2, which can do a lot of work. So I'll get a little bit more into the card selection itself. So we'll talk about the ruler, talk about the stone lineup, and then talk about the deck itself. All right, and starting off with Blazer, we have the reason why we're using him, and pretty much no other reason, is just for the color fixing, and I'm showing off his pretty side just because you'll almost never see it, so might as well see it in the video. The option to have no matter what stone you flip, you can either cast a Dark Resonator or a Fire Resonator, thanks to his ability that lets us produce, all our stones produce Fire Will, is really what makes this, hands down, no other ruler should you even consider for this deck. I will add a small caveat to that, is that if you want to build the Wind version, so back to our original Salt video, I think a Sherry or a Liberator deck could be another option for this, since you can always set the turn 1/5 color stone. But I think that's opening yourself up to a little bit more damage than you should be. But I think that is something you can definitely consider. So the other thing that's great about Blazer is, even for whatever reason, if they flip their into a J ruler, you can still flip them and you can still get the benefit of having the stones tap for what you want them to. So of course you don't want to open yourself up too much since you don't have a lot of red sources. So if the game goes along for whatever reason, keep in mind that you are a little bit light on red sources in the deck. So starting off, we have a Pure Stone, and really this is mostly just for buffing Yamata. This is, I want to say 75% of the time that you're going to call red. Sometimes you really just have to consider what the pace of the game is going to look like. Do I want to call it dark so I can go the more aggressive route and then just finish them off with a 1600 damage Yamata, or am I going to be just going all in pure combo, add it for another buffed Yamata, and go from there? So Pure Stone is definitely something to consider in the deck. Then we have a one of Moonshade. This is strictly for the fact that we want to have 5 light sources in the deck, so we can cast the double light for Genesis creation on 4 if we are going that route. So yeah, a little bit more dependent on special stones than we might care to be, but at the end of the day we're playing a combo deck, and if we're dying to split, we're probably just dying to split anyways, and there's nothing that we can really do about that. Up next we have 4 of the Heaven's Rift. Again, to go with the Pure Stone, this is strictly just so we can cast Genesis Creation on turn 4. So having 5 light sources. I was originally running 4, and it just seemed that we missed it sometime. So 5 optional light sources seems to be the way to go for the deck. And then to finish off the stone base, we just have 4 basic Dark Stones. Again, this lets us cast all our 1-drop Resonators, and it also lets us have the option between Dark and Fire. Again, just the flexibility that Blazer adds is just so good for playing this deck. So let's go into the 1-drops and you'll see exactly why it's so important to have multiple colors available. So starting off, and the one that a lot of people are going to disagree with, but I just don't want to run a 42 card deck. Only 2 Rukh Eggs. Really what this is Yamata 5 and 6. So against an aggressive deck, we can play it early and tutor up Yamata, and sometimes people will just kill it. That's fine. It lets us tutor it out. But otherwise, it's not really doing much by itself. But at the end of the day, it tutors for any Fire Resonator. So especially if you have Susan out of the sideboard, if you're going against a Dragon deck, let's say, just being able to tutor either Yamata or Susan is very, very strong. So again, I keep going back. I want to have 3 or 4 of these guys, but I'm just too restricted on only playing a 40 card deck. Going into our 4-ofs, probably one of the best things to combo with Rukh Egg, and just one of the best, probably the best 1-drop Resonator in the game right now. I mean, outside of the 28 Regalia deck where Percival is better by a percentage because you want to find Demon Sword, for example, I think Guinevere is really just the best 1-drop we have in the game. So I don't really have to go into too much detail about this card. It's just insane. It's, you know, even if she banishes herself to draw 2, discard 1, that's perfectly fine. Obviously, living the dream is getting to tutor off Rukh Egg, or sorry, banish Rukh Egg, tutor off Rukh Egg, search your deck for Yamata, resolve the Rukh Egg effect, then draw 2, and then discard Yamata. So there's a lot of just being able to filter through your deck very quickly helps out a ton. So this deck itself has a ton of draw power and discard power, and that's probably one of the biggest draws that I have towards it. So Guinevere is definitely a 4-of staple in the deck. Here's where things might get a little different compared to other lists. I play 4 of Prowlers, and yes, it mills too. You can't really control what it mills, but that's not too important since you want to just get cards into your graveyard sometimes. But also more importantly is it's another 1-drop, so you can clear out that turn 2 Nyarlathotep, which I'll get to in a little bit more detail. So yes, it can be buffed by the field edition field that we play. It gives all zombies plus 200, plus 200. You know, that's a more minor detail. It's the other one, that the 2-drop that we want to pump. But it's just good to have the zombie theme, and if you're playing Arthur's out of the sideboard. Again, if you don't want to use the transitional sideboard, if you really just want a pure combo list, then that's probably Royce's, and I might do another video on that one as well, just to highlight the differences. And then last but not least for our 1-drops is just 4 necromancies. Card's insanely good, even with all the bows floating around. Anytime a Resonator comes into the battlefield, you can put necromancy on it. So they shoot it, goes to the graveyard, play another Resonator, necromancy goes back on, gives it plus 200, plus 200, turns into a zombie Resonator, so it turns on for our 2-drop field edition. So obviously we want to be putting it on Yamata. That's the best thing that we can be doing, just to make sure we go for that 1-turn kill. But sometimes there's going to be some games where, again, it's just more important to put this on either Nyarlathotep or Soulless Solider, something that's going to get a more grindy match. So you're attacking their life points early on in the game, and then once you exhaust the resources, you just casually slam a Yamata, could have no buffs other than Pure Stone, and that's going to win you the game. So again, the biggest thing people need to watch out for is how to play this deck with an aggressive style and not always be focused on the combo. Obviously, in some matchups, that's going to be your best bet, is just to go for the combo, but in other ones, you're going to want to play the more aggressive route. So going into our 2-drops, and honestly, just probably the best 2-drop for the deck, I don't think anyone would argue that is going to be 40 Thieves. With this card, you get to draw 2, discard 2, so if Yamata's already in your hand, or even if you have 2 Yamatas, let's say, you just get to dump both Yamatas into the graveyard. You know, if you're against a control deck, obviously you don't want to dump both because it loses your graveyard. But more often than not, you can get really cheeky and discard both Yamatas and then have a book in the graveyard, so you can Genesis Creation for a Yamata and a Book of Ebion and then get back the second Yamata. And I've done that more times than I care to count, and it's been hilarious every time that you get 2 Yamatas on the board and your opponent's like, well, we're just dead, so that's fine. Next for our 2-drops, and going back with the zombie theme, is Soulless Solider. The reason why I like this one is, again, it's a zombie. It mills too, so it's helping us find those necromancies early on. What I really like too is it's a 600, 500, and in some world you just need an answer to Lancelot onto. So yeah, yes, it gets thundered. Yes, it dies to Demon Flame. Throw in whatever you want here. The fact is that uncontested in a vacuum, it's going to trade with Lancelot. You know, that's not going to happen as much as we'd like, it turns out, but again, it's a Darkness Resonator that fuels the Incarnation cost for Nyarlathotep, and also fills our graveyard with, you know, the Yamatas, the necromancies, and just helping fill that, fill the graveyard when we need it to. So it's a card I think that's a bit underrated right now, but you know, it's just depends on your local meta, since we don't have any bigger events that we're to talk about. So talking about some of the targets that we're going to get back with Genesis Creation, if we go that route, we have our Edition field, the Realm of the Dead. Pumps all our zombies. The thing I really like about this too is, yes, it pumps our zombies. Okay, let's just appreciate how amazing it looks as a stamped. I think everyone can agree on that. But it also lets you banish to mill 5 cards. So again, there's going to be some instances where you're like, okay, well, I just need to play this, get it out of the graveyard, mill 5 more cards, or, you know, I need to just play it, mill 5, and then go for the Genesis creation just to see if we're going to hit another necromancy, are we going to hit another book, are we going to hit another Yamata, you know, so that sometimes it's just for the mill enabler. And then for our other target, you know, again, you can always grab Book of Ebion with Genesis creation, but these are kind of more the dedicated, what we're grabbing out with. A 1 of Realm of Pure Spirits, and I had 3 in the sideboard originally. I moved 1 main deck and 2 still sideboard. I might go 2/2 on the field editions. We're still unsure about that, but this is really just to protect Yamata against the combo decks. So if you turn 2 Nyarlathotep and you see, for instance, double stoning, well, then you need to play Realm of Pure Spirits because it's going to protect Yamata from eating the other stoning on the next turn. Sometimes the Nyarlathotep is just enough to clear their hand of whatever their answer is, and you don't have to worry about it. But with how light Addition Field removal is, again, everyone has Addition Resonator removal for days, but Addition Field is just sincerely lacking right now. Sometimes you just need a 1 of to clear the way, and it gets you there. So something that does not get enough credit right now that is also, you know, Bow Demon Flame is a very strong combo right now, and, you know, we can just get around it with having a Realm main deck and a few more in the sideboard. The newest addition that we have after talking with Chris Durand about this is Dream of Juliet. Again, the card is just insane value. I mean, people don't give it enough credit, but the ability to talk about the different modes, so you're going to draw a card, you're going to blink a Resonator, or you're going to destroy addition removal, is very, very strong. And again, with how much Bow is floating around and how much Necromancy of the Undead Lord interacts with that, is sometimes you just need a Yamata to attack again. So, you know, we're doing the turn 3 book and a turn 4 trying to go for the kill, if not on turn 3. Well, sometimes they'll just leave the Bow up, so they'll attack with Necromancy, and it won't be lethal. Well, if you go into turn 4, let's say, you know, that Yamata, you don't have really anything else, but you have a Dream of Juliet. Well, you can blink Yamata to get in 8 more attacks, which then is another 1,600 damage, which is going to kill your opponent. So this is just a little bit more of a tech option with concession to how popular bows have become lately. Now, again, the good thing, as I said earlier about Necromancy, is that it keeps coming back, so it's going to outlast the bows. But against those more aggressive decks that have bows, you really don't have... it's a race, so you don't have a huge window of opportunity to attack them. So sometimes just casting a Dream of Juliet will just stop them dead in their tracks. And before I get on to like the last core pieces of the deck and what makes it the combo deck, just a 4 of Nyarlathotep. Again, cannot stress how amazing this card is. Being able to take the counter spell, take the removal spell, take the anti-graveyard spell out of their hand the turn before you combo off is insanely strong, and why I focus so much on the zombie package early on, so we're not just losing our Resonators for the incarnation value, we're still filling the graveyard, which, again, it's not always going to hit what you want, and it's just kind of the gamble that you take. But sometimes just having this on turn 2, getting out of Necromancy, and having a 1,000 body on turn 2, that alone has won me so many games against control decks. Because they just force them to answer that, you force them to answer the next threat that has maybe 2 Necromancies on them, and then you play Yamata for the win. So it's been very, very strong for us at 4, and I would not at all change that number. And then lastly, what just makes up the deck? 3 of Book of Ebion. I almost want to make this 4, but you don't need 4 because you have how much the draw power the deck has. Card is insanely good for getting that turn 3 Yamata, which either, again, is going to be a 1-turn kill or is going to put enough pressure to kill them on the next turn. Something to note on this, that it does not actually go on the on Yamata himself, so it just stays out in the field. So again, this is not something that gets hits by bow, and something that a lot of people just can't answer. Now again, you know, I've been trying to talk about Dream of Juliet, and that is a strong counter to this card, and you're going to lose Yamata. But at the same time, it's just a very good versatile card that's going to let you, you know, sometimes you don't always want to bring back Yamata, sometimes your opponent has a better threat, sometimes you just need to figure out what's the best option in a graveyard to take, and you want to take that card. And then lastly, we have the Genesis creation. I had this as a 4, I think we had 4-2 originally, and then we just split back to 3 and 3. I want to cut it to 2, but honestly, it's just there's so much value that you can get out of this by just getting another Yamata with a book out of the graveyard, and it can just kill them instantly. Card's good. You know, we still need to enable the combo, so I think a 3-3 split is fine for right now. Again, feel free to change some numbers around to figure out what's best for your locals and go from there, but I personally enjoy the 3-3 split. And then, as Chris said on our latest Dark Depths, and as long as this guy has been legal, I've been finding a way to cheat him into play. I've gone through I think this is the 4th Yamata combo deck that I've worked on, and I love this card. It has swiftness, it can attack 8 times. If you buff it, Poison Apple was the original combo dealer that attacked our opponent for 4,800 damage, and it's so good. Or I'm sorry, even more than that. Math is hard. 1,200 times 8, folks, is what I was going with. So Poison Apple was the original combo enabler, then we moved into Refarth, then we moved into Rapid Growth, then we moved into the zombie package that you have now. And I think there's even one more iteration in there. So this card's amazing. It has target attack, so sometimes if you know it's not going to be a one-turn kill, you can wipe their board if you have a necromancy on or a pump spell. And because he has 2,000 defense, he's still going to be able to live through attacking all those resonators. Now again, you need to have some kind of pump spell because he only deals 200 damage by himself. So if you're trying to clear their board, they need a little bit more help than that. So overall, Yamata has been one of my favorite cards since the game's released. The Cheshire Cat Humpty Dumpty combo was the original one. There we go. The swiftness, target attack, tax 8 time. There's so much this card can do for you that a true combo player is really going to realize, I can't win this turn, but what I'm going to do is clear their board, and sometimes you just trade off your Yamata knowing you have another revival spell in your hand. So you wipe their board, you sacrifice your Yamata, and then the next turn, that you've exhausted their resources. Let's say you play Genesis Creation, then on turn 4, you get Yamata back, you put them up with Necromancy, and then you go for the one-turn kill. Sometimes if people are attacking your life directly, very aggressively early on, you just need to go for the board wipe. I actually won several games against Bahamut players just for going that route and making sure they don't have any fire resonators left. So that's the combo deck, guys. This has been an absolute favorite deck of mine to play. I know Chris Duran also absolutely loves the deck. We've had several other people in the community. Again, shout out to Roy, shout out to Chris, who have been working on different iterations of it. This, again, is my personal favorite just because it has that more aggro-y combo build to it. But I think, again, there's plenty of different ways that you can build this deck, and keep in mind that you're still going to be able to combo out your opponents through Yamata on either turn 3, 4, 5, 6. Sometimes you are just getting to 6, and that's fine. So once again, guys, if you liked the video, make sure to drop us a comment, like the video, subscribe to our channel. We did a few versus videos with this deck already, not this newest version, so if you haven't checked those out, please check those out already. And if you have a deck that it's been doing really well at ARG, or you posted in the Facebook group and you went 6-0 with it overall, make sure to drop us an email at ggforceofwill@gmail.com, and we'll definitely try to do a deck spotlight on it and get it up there so more people can see it. So the best thing that we got is going to keep bringing you guys deck spotlights while we wait for Season 2, and we're going to keep bringing you the best decks that we can from either Italy, from ARG events, wherever the best decks are coming from, we're going to have them for you. So thanks again, guys, for watching, and we'll catch you on the next Force of Will 101 deck spotlight. Have a good one.